Brightspace offers different question types that you may want to consider as part of your overall assessment strategy, depending on the type of material you are testing, as well as the situation. By selecting the appropriate question types, you can create more effective assessments that not only evaluate student learning, but also foster metacognition and critical thinking. You will also be able to more effectively align your assessments with desired course, program, and institutional learning outcomes. You can also vary the level of assessment complexity to match your students' progression through the material. For example, as you plan your assessment strategy, you might choose to use simple recall questions when the content of your course is fundamental principles, moving on to more complex critical thinking questions later as students achieve greater mastery. Alternatively, you might use a lower-order thinking question type in a non-traditional way to tap into higher-order thinking. Before we get started with the process of selecting and adding questions, we should review one common framework for understanding the assessments we are asking students to perform. This framework, called Bloom's taxonomy, after educational psychologist Benjamin Bloom, brings together awareness of a body of knowledge, also known as cognition, and the skills or strategies needed to fill any gaps, also called discipline. Metacognition, or self-reflectively knowing what we know, is an important skill that spans every discipline, helping students to identify gaps in their own knowledge and to study more effectively. It can be the secret sauce that empowers students to bring together where they are and where they need to go. As we plan assessments, the Bloom's framework can also help identify the essential cognitive act within each activity by focusing on the key verb associated with the task. It further groups these tasks by the type of cognitive act at their heart and positions them as increasingly complex within a hierarchy of cognition, traditionally visualized as a pyramid. One criticism of the traditional view of Bloom's taxonomy is the implicit suggestion of a hierarchy in learning, in that there must be a progression towards the top of the pyramid where the most important cognitive acts occur. A second criticism is that each level is not as rigid as the steps in the pyramid implies. It is always possible to use question types that are traditionally used to recall basic concepts in a way that promotes higher-level thinking, as we will soon see. For this reason, as well as to make it easier to understand the Bloom's categories in relation to the question types available in Brightspace, we have reimagined Bloom's taxonomy as you see here. The infographic displayed here depicts a view of Bloom's taxonomy that also considers the uses of 10 common question types included in Brightspace. Along the outer ring of each wedge of the pie, you'll see the name of a question type. Moving inward, each ring displays color-coded information describing the type, the metacognitive benefit, in that what does the student gain from doing it, and Bloom's level. A full-size copy of this graphic is available for download on the KSL website. Let's look at an example to understand how this works. A multiple-choice question in biology might ask a student to identify the cellular organelle, which is often described as the powerhouse of the cell. The key verb here is identify, asking the student to recall a specific part of the cell as the solution. Remembering is a relatively simple cognitive task. We might therefore use this type of question early on in a course, or when we want to assess knowledge of fundamental concepts, and we might select a multiple-choice question as the type. Later in the course, as a student's knowledge and skill level grows, we might ask a student to match the parts of a cell to their function. Cognitively, this requires a student to recall the parts of the cell, but also understand the relationships between them, a more complex task. A second option would be to add additional context to the original multiple-choice question that requires students to not only recall, but also analyze and evaluate. An example of this type of rewritten question is available for download. In this video, we will demonstrate the setup for each of these types, provide some guidance on use, and tips you may want to consider. The video is divided into chapters to allow you to jump to the types you wish to focus on, but we recommend that you consider viewing and testing question types that you've never tried before as you think about not only your material, but also the outcomes you wish to measure and the metacognitive benefit of testing using a particular type. Note that we recommended that you consider working from the Question Library tab of the Quiz tool. This tab will allow you access to all question types and make them available across multiple tests and surveys. You can also follow the same steps from the New Quiz button under Manage Quizzes if you are creating a new quiz. In this case, your question will only be available within the quiz you are creating. Adding a section is a best practice that allows you to organize your testing material more efficiently. To begin, click on Quizzes on the navigation bar. Click the Question Library tab and begin by selecting Section from the drop-down menu. Add a section title and description. You can also choose whether or not to hide each from learners, as well as whether or not you want to shuffle the questions. On the next page, select a question type from the drop-down menu. In the next few videos, we'll consider the steps for inputting variables for the question types of your choice. When you're finished, you have three options. You can either select Save, Save and New to save the question and proceed to another of the same type, or Save and Copy, which creates a copy of the specific question and returns you to the Question Library interface. Recall that from the Question Library interface, you can perform multiple bulk editing functions. Your questions can now be imported to any quiz within your course by creating a new quiz and clicking the Add Existing button. You can also click the Create New button from New Quiz and select Question Pool to view or add these questions. Now we are going to go over the instructions to add a quiz from Manage Quizzes. First, click on Quizzes from the navigation bar. Click New Quiz. Put in a title, grade specifics, and a due date. You may also want to turn on release conditions in the right-hand panel, but these steps are not required for now. Finally, click the Create New button and select New Question from the drop-down list. We will now jump to the first type of question, multiple choice. Multiple choice questions are considered relatively low cognitive load questions. They require students to recall information and make decisions under time pressure from a list of options. As a part of your assessment strategy, they are useful when you want to assess broad knowledge quickly, provide instant feedback, and identify common misconceptions. To create a new multiple choice question, click the Create New button and select Multiple Choice from the drop-down menu. On the new page that pops up, click the Options menu chevron. Options menu items toggle on and off when you check them, so it is important that you select these as soon as you begin because it makes it easier for you to organize your question material. These options include Add Feedback, which will include overall question feedback, Add Hints, which will only appear if they are allowed in the quiz, Add Short Description, Add Custom Weights, and Add Enumeration. Now you could add your question text and answers, as well as hints if desired. Note as you populate the input boxes, a preview will appear to the right where you can preview your question and answers. Check off the Randomize Answer Order tab to randomize your answers. Also assign a point value if desired. Once you are finished with the question, click Save, Save and New, or Save and Copy. True or false questions can be useful in testing foundational knowledge and reinforcing concepts. Generally, these types of questions determine what students remember or recall, but they can be used in a series on a quiz. With some planning, they can also assess higher order skills. Let's look at setting up this question type. Starting again from the quiz menu, click the Create New button and select True or False from the drop-down menu. Select your options as desired. Provide the question text and indicate which answer is true. The question will be displayed to the right in preview mode. Provide a point value, and then click on Save, Save and New, or Save and Copy. Fill-in-the-blank questions can be used to test a student recall at a slightly higher level by prompting a student to recall an answer or identify something specific without any verbal cues. To add a fill-in-the-blank question, click the Create New button and select Fill in the blanks. For this question type, a title is not required. Add your desired point value and difficulty level. The default is usually 1. You can add an image and alternate text description for student reference. In the text area, begin building your question. The easiest way to do this is to type out an entire sentence, copying the text for the desired blank into the blank input area. Preview the question by clicking on Preview. Add a hint and feedback if desired. When you are ready, click Save, Save and New, or Save and Copy. Multi-select questions require students to pick more than one answer from a list of options. This means that the student must analyze and break information into parts to understand the relationship among them. Since this question type can carry a higher cognitive load, you may want to use it later in your course when fundamental concepts have been mastered. To add a multi-select question, click the Create New button and select Multi-Select from the drop-down menu. Select options for feedback, hints, short description, and enumeration by toggling them in the Options drop-down menu. Type in the question text, and then type in the answers, checking off which ones are correct. Randomize the order of the answers if desired by checking the box. Assign a point value and determine how points are assigned to blanks in the drop-down list as follows. All or Nothing, in which learners earn full points only when all correct answers are selected and all incorrect answers are left blank. No partial points are allowed. Correct Selections, in which points are evenly distributed across all answers, and learners earn partial points for each answer correctly selected and left blank. Correct Answers, Limited Sections, in which points are evenly distributed across correct answers only. And Right minus Wrong Selections, in which points are evenly distributed across all answers. Learners earn partial points for each answer correctly selected and left blank. Learners lose points for answers incorrectly selected or left blank. Learners cannot receive less than 0 points. Preview your question in the right-hand panel, and when you are ready, click on Save, Save and New, or Save and Copy. Matching questions require students to match items from 2 lists, requiring an understanding of the relationships among concepts. To create a new matching question, click the Create New button and select Matching from the drop-down menu. Provide a title if desired. Specify the point value of each question. Adjust the difficulty level if desired. The default value is 1. Then add your question text. Insert an image as well as alternate text if desired. Specify the grading method between equal weight, all or nothing, or right minus wrong. Add question choices and matching answers. In the column labeled Correct Choice, make sure that the numbers of the matches line up with those of the choices. If you want to include multiple choices for each question, including correct answers, change the number in the input box at the top of the matrix for any choice that you want to add additional answers for. The number will correspond to the number of additional answers you want to provide. Make sure to select a corresponding number of choices in the answer matrix. Add a hint and question feedback if desired. Preview the question by clicking on Preview. And once you are ready, click on either Save, Save and Copy, or Save and New. Ordering questions requires students to arrange items in a specific sequence. When you use this question type, you are assessing a student's ability to recognize sequences and logical progressions, such as the steps in a procedure or the chronological pattern in a historical event. Cognitively, this is an analytical task, requiring students to understand the relationship between parts. To build an ordering question, click the Create New button and select Ordering from the drop-down list. Add a title if desired. Assign a point value as well as the level of difficulty. Write the question text. Insert an image as well as alternate text if desired. Choose a grading option between equally weighted, all or nothing, or right minus wrong. Finally, add all of your values and order them in the item matrix. Add feedback to them if desired. Preview the question by clicking on Preview. And once you are ready, click on either Save, Save and Copy, or Save and New. Now let's take a moment to discuss written response questions. When using this question type, students write extended responses, such as essay questions, but can include multimedia. In general, written response questions encourage deeper engagement with content, analytical reasoning, and reflection on learning. They are best for comprehensive assessments where students need to demonstrate depth of understanding and ability to communicate effectively, and they are usually considered to tap into the highest levels of Bloom's taxonomy. There are some additional considerations to note. Written response questions are not automatically graded. They will display on as pending evaluation until manually graded. You can customize the message that appears from the main quiz menu. You should encourage students to save these answers locally as they go, to protect their responses in case their internet connection is interrupted. To create a written response question, click the Create New button and select Written Response from the drop-down list. Open the Options drop-down menu to toggle two features that are unique to this type. The first is Add Custom Response Box Size, which allows you to set a limitation on the length of a response. And also Add Initial Text, which allows you to provide a line or two to get students started. Type the question in the input box. Click the Enable HTML Editor for Learner Responses box if desired. A text box displays in your preview area to the right. Click the Allow Learners to Insert Images and Attachments box if desired. Buttons to add attachments or record audio and video display beneath the input area. Then determine the custom response box size. It could either be the default size, which is about a paragraph, a bit shorter, which is just a sentence, or much longer, as if you were expecting an essay. Assign a point value, and once you are ready, click Save, Save and New, or Save and Copy to return to the quiz. To create a short answer question, click the Create New button and select Short Answer from the drop-down list. Note that the Options drop-down menu is different for this type of question. It contains options for adding feedback, hints, and a short description only. Enter question text with an underscored blank where you would like the students to insert an answer. Click the chevron next to the ABC by the input box to select Text, Case and Sensitive Text, or Regular Expression. A preview of this question will display to the right. If desired, add additional blanks using the button below the input box. Specify points for this question. Using the drop-down list, specify how points are apportioned between blanks, either partially or all or nothing. A preview of this question will display to the right. Once you are ready, click either Save, Save and New, or Save and Copy. Multi-short answer question types allow you to request multiple brief answers to related prompts, encouraging students to recall and apply multiple pieces of information simultaneously. It is useful for testing nuanced understanding of topics that may require responses in the form of lists or categorized information matching to the applying layer of Bloom's taxonomy. To create a multi-short answer, click the Create New button and select Multi-Short Answer from the drop-down menu. Provide a title if desired. Specify the point value of each question. Adjust the difficulty level if desired. The default value is 1. Enter your question text. Insert an image as well as alternate text if desired. Enter your answers. Add additional answers if desired. Add a hint and question feedback if desired. Preview the question by clicking on Preview. And once you are ready, click on either Save, Save and Copy, or Save and New. The final question type, Likert Questions, have to be created from the Question Library tab in Quizzes, for they do not appear in the new quiz menu. To create a Likert question, navigate to Quizzes. Click the Question Library tab. Click the new drop-down menu and select Likert Question. In the General area, enter your Likert question details. Insert an image as well as alternate text if desired. In the Questions area, select the scale you want the question to use, whether it be 1 to 5, 1 to 8, 1 to 10, agreement scale, which is disagree to agree, satisfaction scale, which is dissatisfied to satisfied, frequency scale, which is never to always, importance scale, which is unimportant to important, and opposition scale, which is opposed to support. To give the users the option to select Not Applicable, select Include an NA option. In each value field, enter a statement. To include additional statements, click Add option. Once your Likert question is ready, click Save, Save and Copy, or Save and New. If you have any questions regarding question types on Brightspace, please contact the Kingsborough Center for E-Learning.